Hello, and welcome back to another DVD Bunker. I'm Brian. This is Matt.
How's it going, Brian?
It's pretty good. So we're in week 2 of our Halloween horror October extravaganza. So, you know, like usually on the show, we pick a movie from my vast collection, one that I haven't seen in a long time, or, you know, that I just, you know, want to revisit because I don't want, you know, other people don't talk about it. Last week was a fairly traditional episode with Feast.
Yep.
That was something you had never seen at all.
Great one, too.
Yeah, it ended up being really good. We really enjoyed that. This week is kind of in the middle. Idle Hands is kind of in the middle of those two. Like, I know I'm not going to get rid of this, so it's technically not in the goodbye realm. There's no way it's going to be a send-off today. But I know it's going to stay in the collection, but it's really more like I want to look back on my early 2000s comedy. Yeah. And like, does the comedy hold up? Is it actually, like, I have a lot of fond memories of it, but is it actually any good? You know, I know I'm going to be, like, holding on to it at least for nostalgia purposes. Oh, yeah. But, so, yeah, do you have any memories of this movie at all?
I honestly think the only other time I've seen this may have been when you bought it. We may have watched it at one of your apartments, and that might be the only time I've seen it.
I always did that. I would just, whatever movie I bought, I would make everybody watch it until all my friends had seen it. I'd watch it like 4 or 5 nights in a row until like everybody I hung out with had seen it.
Yeah, so I remember, this was, you really liked this, and I don't remember anything else about it other than everyone loves this, and I just can't remember it for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't. You know, we'll get to tweets later, you know, and I actually got some responses.
Oh, like people have heard of this,
yeah, people had actually heard of this one. But, I guess we'll just touch on the plot a little bit. It's real simple. Right. You know, obviously the whole premise is idle hands are the devil's playthings, and you have your main character who is so slothful and lazy, stoner kid, that his hand actually becomes possessed and starts murdering people. Okay. And he's got a couple of stoner buddies. He's got a girl he wants to get after. And there's also a, like, monster hunter after the demon that's in his hand. So, horror movie ensues.
I like it. I like it.
Right.
Is this Offspring on the back here? It looks like. Did they make a cameo in this movie?
I believe, is playing their school dance in this.
That's a great. I wish they would have played one of our dances.
Like, so prompt, you can tell that, you know, this DVD came. I bought this DVD at the time that it came out, probably fairly new, because you wouldn't feature Offspring on the back of the Idle Hands anymore. No, like, if you were re-releasing the DVD for Idle Hands, you're not going to bother to put Offspring on the back.
Yeah, you don't even want their name probably on the back of the box anywhere.
No. We can talk about the director real quick. His name was Rodman Flender. Only 2 notable things I saw on his IMDb. I mean, the guy works steadily. He's a workman. You know, got plenty of TV, little things. But he directed Leprechaun 2, which I will argue may be superior to the first Leprechaun.
It's a good Leprechaun.
Yeah, you know, I think the first one suffers a little bit. I think they really lean into the premise a little more. Yeah. Too. And then he did the Conan O'Brien Can't Stop, which was like the stand-up special he did after the whole thing with the Tonight Show. He directed that stand-up special.
That's cool.
It was a tour. Yeah, I was like, that's neat. That's notable.
Yeah, good for you.
So that's it. Anything else we need to say before we go watch the movie?
No, I'm excited to see this because I think I'm going to love it and don't remember. So,
and I'm hoping to still love it. So here we go. All right, we're back. We watched Idle Hands.
We made it. We're alive.
We survived the horror that is. Yeah, this is a weird mashup. It's like, I mean, we've seen a horror comedy, but I've never seen stoner horror comedy.
It is.
You know what I mean?
Stoner horror comedy.
I mean, there's always potheads in horror movies. Yeah. That's not. But like, this is a full-on. I mean, I guess it's weird. It rides the line. It's not a full-on stoner movie because I never feel like they go full, like, half-baked with it. Like, but the guys are just always smoking pot all the time. It's just like a constant thing.
But pot saves them in the end, right. Too. So.
That's the thing. And pot has an arc in the movie where like, the kid's slothful and smokes a lot of pot, and then he denounces it. His friends are trying to get him to smoke, and he's like, "No, I got to go save my girlfriend." And then in the end, it's pot that saves him.
Which is I think is a great theme in this movie.
Well,
the pot.
Because I was kind of thinking, I was like, I mean, until as you get towards the end before he comes back and it saves everybody, I was like, it's almost like you could have kind of taken pot out of this movie and just had him be like, like losers,
just losers,
and just but I'm glad they didn't. I mean, it had its place. Good for them. Good for them. First thing I noticed too, the credits very Seven inspired. Like,
oh yeah,
like I mean, obviously they're doing horror parody here, and it's a a killer on the loose kind of thing. But I was like, the credits were very late '90s / the movie Seven has been out a couple of years.
Yeah, that's true. I got that like kind of artsy. There's like something bad's happening.
Weird, weird imagery and stuff. Yeah, absolutely.
Make you uncomfortable.
Well, while we were talking about the pot, I did want to say that he's got the coolest paraphernalia in movies, I think. Like, above all the little, like, named pipes and half-baked and the big, super joints in Cheech and Chong, I love the asthma inhaler that he's just constantly wearing around. It's, like, the best secret. They even have the moment where the cop's like, what's this? He's like, and the other cop's like, hey, it's an asthma inhaler, moron, he gets, but of course then that's when Devon Sawa's acting mode kicks in and he has to, like, woo! I'm sure glad that went my way.
What do you think his situation is in this movie? Like, in his life, they mentioned at one point he hasn't been to school in 6 months. He only wants to smoke pot and hang out all day. Is that what he does? Does he just hang out? His parents don't seem to be hands off.
His parents make a comment about him, just being lazy, offhanded, and he literally is just like sitting around, getting high, and watching TV. Even to the point where the friends who he buys pot off of, like when your weed dealer is like, man, you should get some ambition, man, get up off the couch and go do something with your life. It's time for a turnaround.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. You touched on maybe the best part of this whole movie is his two stoner buddies, the drug dealers.
Absolutely.
So good.
Absolutely, hands down the best part of the movie. I want to wait because we'll talk just a little bit more because when I get into them I also want to talk about like what they do with those characters in the movie. So let me just make sure before we talk about that, let's talk about Devon Sawa.
Okay.
His physical acting in this is awesome.
It is good. The
twitchy hand is good, but I also like the way he lets it pull him around and the way it looks like he's led by it and stuff. But as far as his performing, his general demeanor of acting, not as much. He didn't bring as much to that part of the movie.
No, he just kind of makes faces like, huh? Ooh, that's gross. Yeah, you're right. But we even tried to do things that he was doing with his hand, and we couldn't do it. We couldn't do the twitching like he did.
Singled out.
It was really good.
It's good though. It's solid. And so there's like a killer on the loose in his town, and he's so stoned and just sitting on the couch all the time he doesn't even know. And the killer's been killing people all over town, and his parents are missing. We have that opening scene.
How long are they dead before he even realized?
Couple days.
It's a long time.
And they're hidden in his own house as Halloween decorations. They're like a scarecrow man and woman with pumpkin heads, and it's his dead, rotting parents for 2 or 3 days, and he doesn't notice.
This kid is off the chain, man.
Yeah, and it's just so. When he finds his parents, he's starts to freak out, and then his friends come over and they start to piece it. They all start to piece it together at the same time, right?
Yeah.
And this is where we have our scene with Seth Green and what do we say, Eldon Henson.
Yeah.
And they are by far the best part of the movie.
Oh yeah.
He kills them in amazingly creative, fun ways.
Yeah.
Great prosthetic makeup on them.
So good. The bottle in the head
is one of my favorite things.
Yeah, that's so really good.
And they do some really good, fun stuff with the head when it's separated from the body, but they know when to switch it over to.
Yeah.
They just enough, and you see a couple of times they use an animatronic head, and a couple of times they do he sits down, then camera switch, and then it's a head through a table, and they do it pretty well. And just about the time you are being they know to switch it over, and
it's good. It's good.
A barbecue fork and stick the head back on.
Oh, that's great.
But yeah, they do some really good stuff with that. But yeah, the bottle on the head's incredible. But I want to say them as a duo are super on point.
Yeah.
Right?
They crush. At the end of this movie, I want to see them follow them on another adventure.
Right.
They leave me wanting more.
Absolutely. Yeah. Seth Green's got some line deliveries in this movie that just slay me every time. And it hit just as hard here as it ever has. And I think Eldon Henson's really good too. Like I said, we talked about before, I'm glad he's like kind of come back in a big way because he's underrated. He's really funny. They're a great duo, and like everything about the way they use the zombie characters. Like I think as zombie friends go, they're way better than what is it, the guy in American Werewolf in London. Like,
these guys are the best friends too because they're always going out of each other's way to help each other.
And they keep
like,
trying to help Anton too. Devon Sawa. They're always trying to help him.
Anytime anybody even has like this minor bit of bad thing going on, like the other guy's got his hands in there to help him, like gets his bottle caught in something. Let me help you out, buddy, and we'll laugh about it later. They are top tier best buddies here. I like these guys a lot.
Yeah.
Let's flip the coin over and talk about something a character in this movie that's completely bananas, and that's Jessica Alba's character. I have so many theories about what the fuck is going on with her in this movie. Like what? First of all, Devon Sawa, I believe, has gone to mystery school of being a pickup artist because the way his aloofness here towards it drives her bananas.
Well, he's like, yeah, she's attracted to all the wrong thing. He's like totally stalking her. He steals her lyric book and is reading it even though she doesn't want him to. He's negging her.
Oh, he's so negging. Well, when he gives her the book back, he doesn't even talk. He just hands it to her, walks away. And that moment,
can we say those lyrics in the lyrics book? That's like the worst 8th grade poetry garbage. Like, I think it's purposely bad. Like, I give them a pass because I think they're trying to purposely make fun of how bad girls who think they can write poetry sometimes can be when you're young. And I'm not talking about people who grew up to be legit poets. I'm talking about when you're in like 7th and 8th grade or even early high school and everybody thinks they're so deep. Oh my gosh, I just read Sylvia Plath for the first time. My mind is blown. Like, I'm just saying, you know.
It was that caliber. And you think it was on purpose? I think they let her write those.
You think Jessica Alba?
Let's not forget, I think she had a music career shortly, so those may have been some
was Honey
real
also
lyrics.
a singer?
Yeah, she tried to sing. They were like, just fucking dance. Oh, yeah, but she's immediately obsessed with him. Like, he doesn't talk to her, and the next time she sees him, he's outside stalking her. He knows her lyrics.
He's covered in blood.
Inside. He has a stump. No, he hasn't stump yet.
But he's clearly like fighting with his hand in some weird way.
And she can't get him upstairs. His hand's trying to murder her while they're making out, and she drags him upstairs.
He's grabbing at her. He's being really super aggressive. All the stuff that, you know, would be like a red flag as not to. She's not a good role model for how to act for young ladies.
Well, the other thing, though.
And they have sex that first night, too. They bang right away.
Because he played it so perfect. The way he did it was just, he crushed her. But later, though, when you see her at the dance, I just think that she has no friends. Nobody likes her because she's dancing in this weird way. Like, why she has the one friend.
She has Tanya, who is horrible.
Yeah, she sucks.
She's terrible. So you can imagine that, like, these are the two like most annoying girls in school.
Nobody likes them.
You've got Tanya, who's like an idiot and just is like, and then Jessica Alba's just like vapid and like really strange. Sucks. And so even though they're good looking, and that's all Devon Sawa focuses in on, he doesn't know anything about them. He's like, oh, your crappy lyrics and you're hot, so I'm in love. He's got Romeo syndrome. You know, Romeo sees Juliet first night, they're in love, they're married like 2 days later. Yeah. Even in high school, I was like, "That's some horse shit, man."
Yeah, that sounds like that's not going to end well, and it didn't, and it didn't. Kind of ended here.
It didn't for Romeo.
It kind of ended good for Devon Sawa here. We don't really know how it played out. Yeah, he makes it at the end.
He's going to be. I mean, he's in a full body cast, so his life is never going to be the same. He's going to have years of physical therapy. I mean, it's a downer ending in a way.
Yeah, that's a bummer too, because I imagine that physical therapist that comes in, or that nurse that comes in, she's really attractive, and then he's got Jessica Alba. He's like going to be surrounded by these super hot ladies. He's not going to be able to lay a bone for at least 3 years. You're right. This recovery time.
Recovery time's going to be rough on that. I'm glad he got it on the first night, I guess.
Yeah, that's
Alba, he's got that to hang on to.
Yeah, but you know she's not going to be able to wait around for these 3 years. I mean, she needs the dick in this movie for sure.
It's true. She was ravenous. Like I said, when we were watching it, she's the kind of girl that doesn't exist in real life.
No.
And that tricks young lads into thinking that there are girls out there who are just going to be like coming on to you all strong and shit. Like, no. Prepare to be disappointed. Like, you got to work. Of course, that might just be my personal experience.
No, this movie pretty much nailed it. This is how my life's pretty much been.
Matt is Devon Sawa. I didn't realize.
It's gone pretty much according to this. A lot less murdering, but yeah, all the Jessica Alba stuff. Yeah, same amount of murdering.
Similar amounts.
Yeah, like a 6 to 10. Yeah, that's about right.
Well, speaking of murdering, he figures out that, like, he thinks that he's got it figured out. All he has to do is keep his hand busy.
Yeah.
Right? So he's hanging out with his murdered dead buddies, and he's trying to knit to keep and these cops from earlier that we were talking about who harassed him about the pot, see through the window that he's sitting with a couple of corpses. They can't tell that they're undead. They just through the window.
Yeah.
So they break in on him, and we get some pretty sweet deaths here with.
Yeah, these are great.
Some great.
The through that slow, like it's resistant. I like that.
Right, and the director we'll talk about later. We saw a little bit with him, but he talked about like the tone balance in this movie, and I think they do a really good job. It's mostly funny. But sometimes there's some really great horror moments, and man, practical effects. I know we always rant about practical effects because I just love them. Like I love good practical effects. There's some really great stuff in here. Definitely the zombie guys, but you know when they do in some of the murders and just some of the great, really good looking blood sprays and blood splatters.
They do great
too.
splatters.
Like, real blood, digital, not digital blood, and there's a difference.
Yeah.
Like blood splatters nowadays are not the same, not even close.
No, this looks like what you would see where there's just no. It doesn't look perfect. It's like shit goes everywhere. Also, in that same vein, I also want to shout out when they come back from the dead and they come up out of the dirt.
Yeah,
I thought that was a really
cool
awesome
moment. Because they play it again. That's another moment, kind of like the intro, the opening, where they play it kind of like straight horror movie. Like it's real kind of creepy and scary for a minute there.
And then they cut it with a funny beat, and then you get hit with a shovel. Right, so that was a really good moment, like balance wise. I really like that part.
Absolutely. Well, once he realizes he can't control it, he decides he's going to cut off his hand. And why does he cut it off so high? He cuts it off like mid-forearm.
Yeah, well,
how about at the wrist, right?
Yeah, like, but I feel like if it's demons or something involved like that, you got to get high up. You don't want fucking a nub going crazy or something like that. That's almost worse. So yeah, you just got to get up. Well, as high as you feel comfortable.
I guess. I just thought he took off a little too much.
I mean, it was real short, and nobody noticed.
Now the hand is a demon, and it's a monster, and it's crawling around on its own, and you gave it a little bit more leverage. It's got a little extra stump now it can use to, like, anchor in and hop around.
You're right.
So I'm just saying.
Which is what happens, because this hand
burns into the microwave, and it gets all gross. And then I love it goes, and it finds a pencil sharpener and sharpens all the nails.
Great.
That's a great little moment. So, like, at this point in the movie, the hand literally becomes a monster in the movie. So that's pretty great. Let's see here. We haven't talked about Vivica Fox yet.
Oh, she's so great.
She is overacting to the extreme, but she is so funny and just like into it and just like playing the part of that crazed lunatic, like, you know, chasing down the killer. I love that she meets up with the guy who ends up helping her find Anton at a bowling alley. Like, what's a place where a lot of hand action might be going on?
And she sees, and she does it. She walks through, it's not like that's all she
people
looks
with
at.
Their hands over the vents and kind of like
she's crazy. And also, she has no regard for the laws or safety. She's driving essentially like an old bus
like
or something.
Winnebago, like a big silver street.
It's like a silver bullet Winnebago. But she's just blowing through the roads. I mean, cars are
hey, there's evil out there. She's got to kick its ass.
She don't fucking.
I can't deliver it like Vivica Fox. I'm not even gonna try. Go watch Idle Hands.
She crushes it in this. To the point that, like, it's almost like, man, everybody else could have went way more parody because she's the most parody of anybody.
Well, I almost feel like, you know, the zombie guys are like, they're like almost outside the movie. They're characters that are kind of commenting on everything, and you know, that's a very very 90s thing to kind of have in your self-aware.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
Because this is obviously a very tongue-in-cheek because it's bouncing. So it's kind of like bouncing between 3 different genres.
Yeah,
almost.
absolutely.
So it's and doing a pretty damn good job of it, if you ask me.
Oh yeah, they really find a balance for sure.
So you know, the hand gets loose and it's heading to the big kind of climax is at the school where the dance is going on. There's a school dance because there's been a curfew of the killer, blah, blah, blah. Who cares? We get a couple extra kill here because they wanted to sneak in some boobs. So the hand kills a couple more people and gets a little action. You know, we get the guy grabbing on the boobs. And then the hand comes up in the middle and is squeezing.
I love that this girl is like an actress trying to make it. And they're like, well, you're going to have to be topless. It's a sex scene, so somebody's going to be rubbing your boobs. Also,
another
third hand is going to be grubbing your boobs, and then it's going to murder
So not
you.
one, but 2 actors.
She was up for it, though, so good for her. I don't know her name, but she crushed it.
She's
probably the most likable female character in this entire movie, honestly.
It's true. That's true.
She's wearing Kiss makeup. That's already cool, so...
And we get into the show, and Offspring's playing. Not even playing an Offspring song.
No.
They're playing the Ramones. And this is what we talked about too. Everybody's dancing appropriately to like a Ramones song, like jumping around, bouncing around. But Jessica Alba is doing like white girl at a festival dance, you know, or what was her name?
Punk music too. That she's dancing.
The Enchantress from Suicide Squad. She's doing that. Like,
yeah, what the hell?
So weird, so out of place. No one
acknowledges it either. Like her friend walks up and her friend is dancing,
bopping like to the music appropriately enough.
But she is completely ignored. She has no other friends. No one's talking to her. There's no competition for Devon Sawa. Right. Like there's no guy trying to get with her.
You would think that she would have somebody. No, because the word is out. She's Crazy Town. Like, and Crazy Town couldn't play. That's why they got the Oscar.
Solid.
Let's see. I like here, we have a couple good things coming up. We talked about the horrible friend, Jessica Alba's horrible friend. She has a great death where she gets splattered in a giant fan. For some reason, this high school has vents that two people can crawl next to each other in, and a gigantic industrial fire.
It was in like a hallway. It wasn't even in like some room that would have needed a fan. It was just like a stairwell.
It's like the joke in Galaxy Quest where they have all the stuff from the show. Like, it's
the fire.
Well, it's supposed to be here. It says it's here. It says there's a big fan. So
and they had some good like dead girlfriend jokes ready because they zing off like 3 of them in a row or something right here.
Was it something about I don't want to crawl through all this Tanya? You can go back if you want to get a piece. So solid. Like I said, the back and forth between those two guys is definitely the best.
It's the crux.
Best part of this whole movie.
The crux.
If nothing else, you should just watch it for them. But yeah, like we said, Weed ends up saving the day. The hand crawls into a puppet, which I like that. We'd had the hand on Devon Sawa. I do feel like the hand wasn't as dynamic when he wasn't. So a lot of that was Devon Sawa. But I mean, the crawling around hand is cool. They definitely try to make it like kind of creepy crawly. It doesn't move around like a little sprite all happy. It kind of like crawls along the ground.
And I think the microwave scene helps sell that a lot because now it's like kind of fucked up or whatever, so it does crawl a little weird.
But then they're like, okay, you've seen that for a little while, and we've seen it with the nasty nails. They put it into a weird puppet, a funny looking puppet, and they don't choose a scary puppet. They choose a really silly looking one, which is pretty great. And so Devon Sawa gets to fight with that, which again I think brings back the dynamic from earlier because it's clearly his hand in the puppet now.
Yeah.
Like, he's fighting it while he's got the stump going and everything, and it's so that comes back, and I think that's all fun. And then we have our real self-aware kind of anticlimactic ending, where she throws the dagger in the hand and it just kind of poofs out. And again, in classic like what his character does through the whole movie, he Seth Green immediately calls attention to it, like where's the big explosion and all that.
But you jumped over one of the best moments in the whole movie is when Vivica A Fox throws it at the hand because the hand's flying and she hits it and then it goes into.
And then it sticks in Seth Green.
The best reaction face is just ooh. Yeah, that was a great part. More Vivica A Fox just crushing it.
Exactly,
as this
absolutely.
Crazy person.
So then, through some stoner accident, Devon Sawa ends up getting crushed by a car in the shop because they're in the auto shop. Which again, this is a high school that has a full working auto shop with like a lift that can a press that lifts the car all the way up to the ceiling. Sure, right?
And and allows you to arc weld what appears to be some old engine into a weed smoking.
A super bong with like 3 that they call Mighty Joe Bong. Which again, I think they one-upped Half Baked by coming up with the best bong.
Mighty Joe Bong.
I was like, that's pretty solid. I was never such a fan of Wesley Pipes. I didn't think that was that clever.
No.
You can do better. Come on, Half Baked. Step up your game.
But Mighty Joe Bong, they only needed one. That's why they only brought one.
Mic drop on Mighty Joe Bong. Did it. But he ends up in the hospital, and we get a little stinger where we see that, the zombie guys have gotten to become his guardian angels. But I like how they cheaped out on the wings. They're clearly like attached to like a square in the middle, and they're just on their clothes.
It almost looks like the same wings that Jessica Alba's wearing when she's in costume. When she's in, like they just used those wings.
Now I wish I went back. I bet it is the same.
It's the same fucking wings.
They just used her and her stunt person's wings. They just like put one on each of them.
They're angels now.
They're angels.
Because I think we could slide it now to this alternate ending. To me, he seemed bitter. I don't think that was the real ending. That this was the real ending we saw, and I do think that he wanted the gateway to hell. The
director was reading a very well prepared statement before we watched the alternate ending about how They decided to change it because they just felt like tonally it got a little too dark. And it's like a pit opens to hell. The pool area of the becomes kind of like Freddy's basement.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's weird hands out of the wall. A lot more like kind of violence towards Jessica Alba, like they're cutting her finger,
yeah, that's true. That's true, and she screams really well. Yeah,
it gets, it's a little darker, but yeah, he definitely seemed like maybe like they came to an agreement eventually, and by agreement I mean the producers were like, it's time to change the ending. We don't like the ending. And he was like, so they like agreed on an ending they both liked, but like that was his ending.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Ending was his ending for sure.
Because he really, it was just the way he was reading those cue cards and the way he kind of stumbled once, and he's like, I mean, it was the ending. It was always the ending. Talking about the real ending of the movie. Right. I was like,
but I think he's right overall. I do think it's better. Tonally it's much better.
It's better. It's funnier.
It's funny, and it gives them a great joke for Seth Green to be like, what happened? Where's the big explosion?
It's true.
And all the crazy. So I tweeted out that we were doing Idle Hands.
All right.
And I actually got back some responses.
People have seen this.
And not all negative ones, like with RoboCop. The last couple of times, like we did go to Ferris Bueller. Nobody had seen Instinct. Everybody hates RoboCop. So like this is our most even-handed Twitter conversation that I got to have.
That's nice.
People. So that's good. Let me see here. Sorry. Eric Monroe just said he liked it, so kept it simple. Benjamin McElroy at Gunslinger Din. Underrated. This, Dead Man on Campus, Road Trip, and Super Troopers were staples with my buddies. And I would agree on most of those. I did see Dead Man on Campus. It's not that I didn't like it. I saw it in the theater. It's just never one that like broke into my sphere.
Not like the other three, but definitely those
definitely
other
Road
ones
Trip,
did.
definitely Super Troopers, definitely
Seen
this.
those many times.
Also, honorable mention, Old School was one.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
That's a really solid one. If you haven't ever seen Old School with Wilson and Will Ferrell, very good.
Yeah, you gotta get into that one. America.
Austin Singleton, though, who does our graphics,
yeah, wonderful.
He just had one word for us: cringe.
Oh, not a fan.
So apparently not a fan.
I can see where people come from.
You know what I mean? Exactly. It's nothing is for everybody, but it's just like one thing can turn you off about it.
I mean, if you're going 3 genre. Anyway, you're going to alienate a shit ton of people. So
because not everybody's going to appreciate the attempted balance you're going for.
And stoner
there.
comedies in general don't usually see like a huge, outpouring,
Randall Sands says, Idle Hands definitely a product of the 90s. That being said, a mix of comedy and horror are pleasant and surprise worth a watch.
That's good. That's well written.
Yeah.
Well said, Randall.
Yeah. Our buddy Jack.
Yep.
Isn't this the film that promoted guilt-free groping of your movie theater date?
Absolutely.
I was like, oh, my hand's possessed.
I don't know what happened.
I don't know what happened. Hey, I'm not going to lie. I was in high school once, dark theaters, beat your mom's basement sometimes, you know what I mean? Like,
I was always more of a wiener in the popcorn kind of guy. I wasn't a groper. That made them come to me, baby.
The thing is, I always ate the popcorn too fast. I'm halfway through by the time we get through the previews, and
she just looks down and gets some popcorn.
The lights haven't even gone down yet.
You're thinking about a refill, just looking around all nervously. Hey, I'm gonna go get some more popcorn. Oh, that's probably where the Dick in the Box came from. You were running through a movie theater that Justin Timberlake and Andy Samberg were at. They saw it and thought of it.
Well, I was gonna say sorry. Because the Backstreet Boys played in our town before they got famous. But that's it. That's not NSYNC. That's not Justin Timberlake.
Get your boy band straight, buddy.
But we almost had the connection. It almost could have been a possibility.
It's true.
One last tweet, because this is a good one. The beginning with his parents was actually really scary, and then Seth Green quote, "Look at me, I'm Leatherface," which I'm pretty sure was a trailer moment, and definitely yes.
We laughed and we laughed. We brought it back and laughed about it again later while the movie was still on. That's a great one.
But yeah, we didn't really talk about the opening. They do kind of like the scene we talked about where he digs up his friends, or where his friends come back after he buries them. They play the kind of straight horror movie and beginning. The kind of opening sequence, they have like the cat jump scares, which we didn't talk enough about the cat. Cat gets a lot of play in this movie.
That's right, I forgot.
He gets some sweet right in the he has the jump scare in the beginning, and then they have the thing when Devon Sawa was first discovering his parents are dead, and he's chewing on the eyeball, the really gross eyeball, and then he swings him.
He throws him. That's a great cat dummy throw.
Hand and like pisses the hand off, and it grabs the cat and throws this awesome dummy cat out the window.
We love to shout out great dummy work. Cats are not excluded.
Well, and the unofficial fan fights, a lot of our core group, a lot of cat owners, turns out. So
I'm a cat lover myself,
we gotta give
buddy.
Cats of TUFF is a thing, so we got to give shout out to cats.
As much as you can love an animal that's constantly plotting to kill you.
Right.
So,
I have 2 cats. They both hate me.
They do dislike you. No, that's not true.
But yeah, and so I like that horror movie opening, and I think this is going to lead us to right perfectly into character corner, because I know who you want to talk about.
I want to talk about the dad, Fred Willard. He's not in a lot. He just gets murdered at the beginning. Kind of bounces out because I honestly did not know that they were going to get murdered. I thought it was going to be something funny, and I was just like, this mom is really overreacting to just noises. Turns out someone's going to get murdered. Yeah, so he's just great. I mean, he's in it for 5 minutes. They use his body or his his plaster cast or whatever for the rest. But yeah, it's fun when you see him because he's everything. Yeah, it's great. I think of Anchorman and things like that. Well, I'm just so funny.
Any Christopher Guest movie.
I forgot all about that. All of those. Oh man,
Best in Show. He might be his funniest in A Mighty Wind. He's got like the bright blonde like spiked, and he's like clearly a 65-year-old man. Just it's so ridiculous. I mean, he's great, and he's just one of those guys who like seems like a really straight-laced guy, but will just do anything. He's always saying the weirdest stuff, and he comes from like an improv background, so he's just constantly saying like hilarious shit all the time. He's so
good. Love seeing him. And that was it. What about who did you love?
Well, I wanted to shout out before we talk about, because there's another one I know we want to talk about, but I want to shout out Christopher Hart. He's the guy who played the hand, the disembodied hand. Also played Thing in the Addams Family and Addams Family Values.
Crushed it.
And when I was talking earlier, I was thinking about it. He went out of his way to differentiate the way he played Thing from the way he played this hand.
It's much creepier.
Well, this hand like keeps the palm down and like pulls itself with the fingers, whereas Thing's all up on the fingertips and running and stuff.
Exactly right. His is more.
Even though he's he's one of those like character actors, probably like a mime before he started doing this. He's just really into his craft. I got to give it up for that.
Yeah, man.
It's good stuff.
I mean, he dominates. I mean, I can't think of any other.
I bet he's a close-up magician.
Like that. Yeah, his picture on IMDb is him with fire in his hand, so it screams
Please
close-up.
Post that picture right here.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw that picture there because it's amazing. Because to have that sort of hand dexterity, I guess that would go along with being a close-up magician. So I know
I'm a big fan of when like famous magicians show up in movies and they don't make a big deal out of it. Ricky Jay is famous for that. If you don't know who Ricky Jay is, you've definitely seen him pop up in movies. He's kind of an overweight guy with a beard, super famous close-up magician, and it makes me laugh because I know those guys are like weirdly obsessive, and they've gotten to the point where they do these certain things so well that you can't even see them do it, and that freaks me out because of all the practice it probably took.
It takes them years, and they crush ass. So every time you watch Addams Family, just think about that thing, that hand, just know that he's just crushing it with that thing.
So the last guy we're going to talk about with Character Corner here is a little fellow by the name of Jack Noseworthy.
Yes, Noteworthy Noseworthy.
Noteworthy Noseworthy, as he's known from here on out. This character's weird because as we get into the end, we kind of realize that he almost doesn't need to be in the movie at all for any reason. The only real interaction he has in the whole movie is that the stoner friends send Anton to him to ask him about his hand being possessed because he listens to like a lot of metal music. Yeah. And that's his one thing. And he doesn't even give him any satanic thing. He just tells him to be. He's the guy who's like, you just need to keep yourself busy, man.
Yeah, he has no help.
Nothing. And then the rest of the movie, he's just like palling around following Vivica Fox.
Yeah, he's just, well, I think he's in love with her, and you kind of get that vibe. He looks up to her. And
but if Seth Green had been into metal music, you could have cut that character out completely. Yeah, he doesn't need to be in there. He's totally useless.
I think they were tired of the stereotype that metalheads are some way associated with like the devil and things like that. Just because we throw up the horns doesn't mean that we know all this stuff.
So the idea was to like send him there and then break the stereotype.
Yeah, and just have him know nothing and give him horrible advice. And
why didn't they have him why didn't they either do one of two things? Cast a guy who looks more metal, like with like a big beard and stuff, and like just like a little scarier, or use this guy but cast him as more as like a super good looking guy. Instead of having a big truck, he could have been really into his car.
Yeah,
and like just play him different and not have it be about metal. He could have just been the neighborhood bully who ends up getting his comeuppance or something.
Yeah, he's
I just
weird.
don't feel like the character and actor, you know,
he's miscast.
He's
because
definitely miscast.
He does have this movement about him, and I tried to defend it, but we looked him up, and he's definitely a theater actor.
I just felt like he was very nimble in the way he ran.
You kind of like
when he would chase after, the way he would turn and run,
and
stomp. And like, he looked like a dancer, and it just jumped right out to me. I was like, that guy looks like he has been a dancer.
You're like,
or
it doesn't look
or
metal
something.
at all. It looks
it's
like
just not very metal.
It looks like a dancer wearing metal clothes. Like he somehow stumbled upon some homeless guy or something.
And like I said, he's not bad in the role. He's actually really funny. But it just seems like a weird like casting choice. Either the character should have been a little different, or they should have cast a different guy.
Yeah, it's almost like they had somebody else that like backed out, and they were like, "Yeah, my cousin does a theater down the street. Let's get him." And they're like, "Fucking bring him in." And they show him the clothes. He's like, "Are you kidding me right now?" I guess I'll do it. So
what's my motivation here? I like shout at the devil. That's pretty much all the things that you learn about this guy. Oh, my truck. Oh yeah, my truck.
I love my Ford, and I love shout at the devil.
Yeah, and I wear sleeveless shirts.
Yeah,
that's my whole thing.
He's got a sick tape deck in that truck too.
Hell yeah, he does.
And he loves a bull. He doesn't even care that he sucks. I do like that part that he bowls that curve and it hits a one pin on the end. He's just like. He's just like, that's the bowling, baby. He's a positive dude. The people are really likable in this movie, except for the women, of course, are not likable.
Yeah,
but,
well, I mean, I could see if you were Devon Sawa or a teenage boy, you would think Jessica Alba. As a grown adult, we can look at Jessica Alba and be like, red flags going off all over the place here. Like, this is not a person you want to get involved with because she should have better judgment than to get involved with somebody like Devon Sawa.
Yeah,
but to a young boy, a teen watching this movie, you are awkward and acting like a weirdo. She's into it and takes you in and bangs you immediately. That's the dream come true.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess
she's not bad. She's scary to us as adults because we know she grows into somebody who ruins your life.
Yeah, we know how this story ends.
Right.
Whatever car he drives eventually gets repossessed. He never has credit again for the rest of his life. He has a criminal record.
All right, so we talked about we have to go with kind of a different rating system this.
Yeah.
For these.
Okay, I like this.
You know, Feast we could do because you had never seen it. But I want to, because since these are movies that I know aren't going anywhere, I want to rate them on a scale of best being Halloween, John Carpenter's 1978 Halloween, to worst being Halloween Resurrection starring Busta Rhymes.
I thought that was H2O. Wait, I forget.
No, H2O is good.
Okay, H2O. Okay. Resurrection, Kung Fu, Busta Rhymes.
But we don't have to, like, you don't have to think of it as a ranking as in, like, how does it compare to the actual sequel? Let's just use it as a number ranking.
Yeah.
Best is on one end of the spectrum, worst on the other. I will go first. I know I usually make you go first. I'll go first. I would say that this is Halloween 3, Season of the Witch level.
Okay, really pull it for Halloween movies. I remember seeing it right now.
Well, I'm just saying, in the spectrum.
I'm gonna go
is this too
Rob
hard
Zombie's Halloween 2. That's like a 7.5 on my book. I don't know where it rates anybody else. I call this good, not great.
Maybe this ranking
good, not great. Yeah, I don't know if we
explain.
necessarily agree on what the best Halloween movies are because I thought Busta Rhymes was awesome.
All right, well, thank you for joining us here on the DVD Bunker. I hope you like Idle Hands. I hope you watch Idle Hands. I hope you talk to us about Idle Hands. You can find us on Twitter, at Hercules.
At The Drunksman.
Hashtag DVD Bunker. Or you can comment right here on YouTube in this video. The space, I can always point to it so you know it's below us. Check out the other content always. There's great stuff coming out here all the time. Thanks to all our friends, Jeannine, Austin, Ron, who helped us out with the graphics and the music. And I think that's it.
That's it, right? Ron's like the Ed McMahon of the show, just kind of guest host coming in, guest hosts, slide out, and then we'll bring in like a Jay Leno character, and Ron and me will both be shit on. So, thanks, Brian.
I just wanted to get my sea leg.
I'm ready to bring in somebody a ringer.
Right. Now I feel a little more confident. I can bring in somebody with a little more talent. I didn't want you to overshadow me.
Or any talent.
I didn't want anybody to overshadow me. I
You're
want
right.
to be the host of my
You're
own
right, man.
show. I mean,
you can't have two Conans on the desk. You need that Andy Richter over there. Oh.
All right, thanks everybody.
Bye.
Mm-hmm.